What's up, guys? It is Flash, back with some more charts and another video. Today's Tuesday, July 9th. It's about 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Today we're going to run through the ratios, bigger picture uranium ratio review. Always start kind of just with URA to get the state of affairs, the state of the union, where we're at today, July 9th. Again, we just kicked off Q3, second half of the year. So what I'm going to do is start with U.UN actually. And so on the top here you have the price, and in the middle of the screen here you have the momentum as the distance percentage from the 3-year moving average. So we're on the monthly time frame. We got the 36 period moving average. If I go into settings, we go into inputs, it's 36 periods. What is 36 divided by 12? That is 3. So it's the 3-year moving average, and this is the distance percentage away from that. So as you can see here, we're kind of bouncing a little bit off of this potential trend line on momentum, right? There's only 2 touch points on it. We would love to make it a third and continue our climb upwards for U.UN, the physical trust. If we look at UX1, the price of the metal itself, very similar story here, and there is a trend line here with more than 2 touch points. So, and then I mean, you see this, the beautiful bull, the beautiful arc action of price, and you see the 3-year moving average is just, it's literally just riding up the bull. And so that is really the basis of these arcs and these bulls. Is a lot of the times you'll see the moving average and the Ichimoku cloud kind of providing support on the way up. Really only visible on the bigger picture time frames like the monthly, for example. But if we zoom into the weekly, take the moving average off, space this out a little bit, you know, not as much going on here with momentum, but there is a nice little downtrending resistance line that we'll need to get through on the metal. So I ultimately think the metal looks really good. You know, this is a basing pattern of some sort, whether it's a cup and there's a handle. Time will tell, right? This could be that handle that we're forming. Who knows? But again, looks very, very good. And so now let's look at the metal versus gold. You know, kind of a similar story. Got that 3-year moving average working its way up. Another trend line on momentum. So this is the kind of the time for the price to, I think, start turning up, honestly, but both in US dollars and in gold. And if gold is going to continue showing long-term strength, I think this is a really good thing for the metal. And then we can kind of look at, okay, let's look at the basket of equities measured in the physical trust or measured in the metal, more or less, right? And so here, again, Casper on X, really good follow. He's kind of put in front of us this Wyckoff accumulation pattern that is oh so visible on the URA divided by U.UN chart. And then when we look at momentum from a bigger picture perspective, we have a momentum breakout. You know, this is a valid, it looks like a valid downtrending resistance line that we broke through. You know, we're going to want to, I think there's some more kind of support and resistance kind of right here. So we're going to want to get through that as well. But that's like a really good early warning sign that, yes, this could actually play out. So if you have gold going up and you have the metal outperforming gold, and then potentially you have the basket of equities outperforming the metal, I mean, you have a really good situation for uranium equities. Again, that's why I look at these charts all day and why I'm a uranium bull. If we look at URA measured in gold, so a little bit different, it's not the metal, it's the basket of equities measured in gold. Let's brighten this up a little bit. But again, I mean, where's that 3-year moving average? So we're right on the 3-year moving average. We want this to kind of, you know, continue to go up, right? So it's kind of a crude drawing, but we can zoom in a little bit. You know, we have that downtrending momentum line that we want to break through. We're very close to this red line, which means we're pretty much touching the 3-year moving average. We can drop into the weekly. And again, this kind of has a wedgie formation, you know, big wedge, bullish wedge breakout. We're retesting that. There's also a big downsloping resistance line that we're now confirming as support. You know, here's a couple things that I see. A, B. We're looking for some sort of C, I think, which I think will have us dip below the A. But what I also see here is a little bit of a shoulder head, potential shoulder, right? So this doesn't necessarily have to come down, and we don't necessarily have to have a lower low. I just think from a correction standpoint, that would shake people out a little bit. But yeah, overall, I think it looks good. I think it looks really good. Just needs a little bit more time. Again, let's talk to me late July, early August, maybe September, October. I think these charts, there will be some bigger green bars on this chart. We'll look at URA measured in the S&P 500. Again, big rounding out, big turning of the ship. It's not something that happens overnight. We have a down-sloping resistance line, a momentum that we'd like to get through, and potentially a rising support line, right? So when we zoom out, kind of get a good picture of what this is doing, but it's building momentum above the red line, above the 3-year moving average. So it's a bullish consolidation above the moving average, which is really good, and kind of an ascending triangle type look. We'll go into the weekly as well. And again, I think we did have a lower low here. Can't speak today, but this looks good. I think if it wants to resume upwards, I'm ready for it. I'm sure you guys are too. Another one I added was URA measured in the NASDAQ. And here, I mean, this is a very interesting chart. I mean, we have a huge, looks like a bullish falling wedge from momentum into a rising trend line. And we're coming into a potential support line of this arc, of this bull. And the moving average is kind of turning that ship, right? Drop into the weekly here. And so, I mean, what are we seeing all throughout here? A, B, C. A, B, C. So I think what we have going on here is something like this. But again, looks good. I mean, it looks like it's kind of a rounded top. If we kind of zoom in on this price action, you could maybe throw some sort of dome on this. You know what I'm saying? And then like sometimes I'll see a dome like this, and then it'll come all the way to the right-hand translated side, and then it'll pop out. But I really like the look of this momentum. It's pretty clean. I like it when things are clean. Okay, over to NVDA measured in CCJ. A lot going on this chart, right? But we have some sort of time cycle here that it's somewhat following. You know, you can make the argument, you could probably move it around a little bit. But I mean, we're at kind of that topping peak on the time cycle. And we have an ABC to the upside. And so yes, this could go higher. NVIDIA could go higher. Momentum is kind of tricky to figure out. If we could look at momentum, we can kind of redo this real quick. But with NVIDIA, you know, you kind of have this trend line going through here, right? And then kind of a parabola, so to speak, right here. And so let's look what that looks like on the chart, right? When this broke the parabola on momentum, you know, you had a drawdown in price, mostly just consolidated, right? But then it still went up, but you made a lower high in momentum, another lower high. So this is just kind of a tough one to read. Like maybe we have a horizontal in here. But NVIDIA is just so strong. It is so strong, and the AI craze is nuts. It's where all the money is right now, and we're kind of looking for this rotation, hopefully, into CCJ. So I'll keep an eye on this one, and we just don't know. We do not know as of today. Okay, over to Apple measured in CCJ. I'm going to take the moving average off just to kind of clean things up. But you see here, let's look at momentum real quick. There's the phone, as always. But you see here, like momentum breakout, June of 07, and that led to just a crazy run for Apple measured in CCJ. Big outperformance of Apple, right? And so, where are we today? Ignore the green for right now, but on the monthly, like we're still, we're not close to being above the red line. We're not close to being above the moving average. It's a declining 3-year moving average. We have some work to do. Apple has some work to do to try to outperform CCJ. So CCJ is in position, strong position. If we go into the weekly though, here's where those green lines kind of come into play. So there appears to be a momentum breakout of Apple versus CCJ on the weekly, right? But another thing about the distance from the 3-year moving average is I think on the lower time frames for the most part, like this is kind of the overheated zone. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to remove the green for now. You kind of have like overheated zone. And maybe like a buy zone, so to speak. So it kind of, like when the price gets 28% above this moving average, it's not the 3-year moving average. We're on the 2-day time frame. It's kind of a warning sign that hey, this is close to topping out or close to at least correcting a little bit. Whereas when it gets 25% underneath that moving average, that could be considered a good entry candidate. So right now we're approaching that, the potential top in this ratio. I'm still expecting it to go down, but just something to kind of keep your eye on, right? Okay, we got 2 more, and that's Bitcoin measured in CCJ. And man, that could be a huge head and shoulders. I don't know if that would fully play out or not, but momentum is kind of interesting, right? Like just a series of lower highs. So kind of make of this what you guys want. I mean, we're in this range, we're bouncing back and forth. I would say it's not really, it's either going to go above this range or below this range, right? So, I mean, right now it's kind of just bouncing back and forth. There's not much to kind of maybe pay attention to. It's just kind of an interesting chart. And then lastly, we have another one from Casper, from X, is Apple measured in uranium. And so here, I'll kind of move this around a little bit. We have some sort of consolidation. This looks like a huge topping pattern, right? Like it looks like it could be, I'd have to kind of play with that arc a little bit, but it just looks like a huge top. And so what Casper had was he had kind of this, a move down into a bear flag, another move down, and we're kind of retesting that bear flag now. And then I kind of also found this could be a bigger bear flag, so to speak. And so here's, again, what I'm seeing, like an A, a B, and I'm expecting a C leg of some sort to kind of complete this topping pattern, and then I still think there would be continued downside. Again, I'm rooting for CCJ, for URA, obviously. Like I'm kind of positioning a lot of these charts to look bullish because one, they could potentially be this bullish, but two, I'm a fan. So and this fits kind of that URA CCJ picture outperforming big tech. So just kind of interesting to follow, guys. Again, moral of the story, I think we're going up and to the right. So a lot of these ratios do matter, and it's a matter of where capital is flowing in these markets. So I hope this was helpful. Drop me a like if you like the content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.